Hi again, it's me, Coach Chanae from Academic Coaching for Real Changers. I'm excited you're joining me today in efforts to pass your exam. Speaking of preparing for and passing your exam, please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can join our Facebook group, Academic Coaching for Real Changers, and check out our website at www.academiccoachingforworldchangers.com. We have so many free videos, a monthly newsletter, and a supportive Facebook group to help you along the way. We want you to pass your exam so that you can go on and do great things and be a world changer. You can do it. Like Dr. Pam says, remember, it's a reading test. So, in our previous episode, I discussed the difference between classical and operant conditioning. So, before we get started with today's discussion of negative reinforcement, I encourage you to give the last podcast a listen. Listen to that so that you know the difference between operant and classical conditioning before you begin learning about negative reinforcement. So I'm going to get started with it's like a four-part series, maybe, if you will call it that. I will eventually be covering positive and negative reinforcement as well as positive and negative punishment. I'm going to break each one down into its own section, and this is helpful because these concepts can be easily mixed up. So be sure to listen to all four episodes covering these concepts. The terms can be confusing, so be sure to listen until you can give your own example of each one of these concepts. That is a part of how we learn using Bloom's taxonomy. It's important to be able to make the information your own and use your own words to explain the concepts. So, in this particular section, I'll talk to you about negative reinforcement. Negative reinforcement is linked to Skinner's operant conditioning. Negative reinforcement in behavior therapy involves removing an unpleasant stimulus to increase a desired behavior. The behavior becomes more likely because it removes or avoids something unpleasant. The word negative in this context does not mean bad or not good. It means to take away something. So think of negative as a math concept here, not as bad or punishment, but negative meaning subtract, take away. So, for example, if it starts raining, rain would be our stimulus. You would open up an umbrella, which is the response, and the unpleasant experience of getting wet stops. That's the consequence. So, making you more likely to use an umbrella in the future. Another example, if your phone constantly pings during work, that is the stimulus, and you turn on your do not disturb, which is the response, and the consequence is the interruption stop, reinforcing the habit of silencing your notifications. In both of these examples, there is something negative that occurred. Something was taken away, such as getting wet or decreased interruptions from your phone. Those are the negatives. Something was taken away. Remember, it's not negative meaning of punishment in this situation. So let's practice applying this concept to a question. Which of the following is the best example of negative reinforcement at play? Here. A, a child loses recess for being mean to a peer in class. B, a child buckles their seatbelt so the alarm stops beeping. Or C, a child receives a reward for completing chores. Remember, in operant conditioning, the negative reinforcer is one that involves the removal of an adverse stimulus to promote a certain behavior. So I'll read it again. What is the best example of negative reinforcement at play? A, a child loses recess for being mean to a peer. B, a child buckles their seatbelt so the seatbelt alarm stops beeping. Or C, the child receives a reward for completing chores. So with that example, if the child buckles their seatbelt to get the seatbelt alarm to stop, that represents a negative reinforcement because the adverse stimulus, which is the seatbelt alarm beeping, is removed, which is encouraging the behavior of buckling the seatbelt. We want the child to buckle their seatbelt, so we take something away that they don't like, the beeping. That's the negative. That's what is removed and taken away. The beeping is taken away in order for the behavior of the buckling up to increase. Remember, negative means to take something away, and it's a reinforcement. That means we want the target behavior to continue. We want to be safe and buckle our seatbelt. So there's the negative, which is we want to reduce the alarm going off. So in this instance, the negative means taking something away. And if it's the reinforcement, we want the target behavior to continue or increase. To summarize, negative reinforcement removes something unwanted to make you more likely to repeat a behavior. Can you identify the negative reinforcer in these examples? Before heading to the beach, you slather on sunscreen to avoid getting burned. What's the negative reinforcer? The sunburn. Yeah, you want to remove yourself from getting sunburned. So you apply the sunscreen. What about this one? On Monday morning, you leave the house early to avoid getting stuck in traffic and being late for work. So if you say that the negative reinforcer is being late for work, you're getting the hang of it. So make sure you listen to the other three related episodes covering positive reinforcement, positive punishment, and negative punishment. And hopefully that will help you better understand these concepts. Remember, Academic Coaching for World Changers offers individual and group sessions to help you prepare for your test. If you're interested, you can reach out to us via email by drpam2020@gmail.com. That's drpam2020@gmail.com. You can view all of our services at academiccoachingforworldchangers.com. There, you can also find some information about all of our coaches. Also, don't forget, you can also always find our free videos that we post on YouTube. And be sure to subscribe so you're notified of all of our new content. Remember, it's a reading test, and you got this.